favour except for Councillor Davison, who has dropped off the screen, so we'll just have to try and work that out for a second.
I've disappeared completely here.
Right, you back with us, Councillor Davison? No, we're having problems with Councillor Davison.
I would if I could.
Yeah, you're just on our screen. You're just freezing.
My connection has just disappeared completely.
All right, we'll just leave you unmuted. So you were in favour of that last motion? The declarations of interest was all unanimous apart from you, but we couldn't get your vote in. And now we've lost you again. Or what I'll do is, well, we've got him back, so welcome back, Councillor Davison. All right,
Thank you very much.
We're up to item 2, declarations of interest, which I had put, and we're all in favour except for you, Councillor Davison, in regards to item 2. So what's your thoughts on that? You in favour? Yep, thanks. So that's unanimous. None against, so that's carried. Item 3 is declarations for political donations. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Oldham. Anything to declare? Nothing to declare?
No.
Righto, thank you. I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Just
Hang on.
computer hand, please. Thank you. Councillor Weaver? Mullins, yep, that's all in favour, unanimous. Against was nil, that's carried. Item 4 is the mayoral minutes. I've tabled a report. Does anybody else have anything for the mayoral minute? Councillor Travers?
No, I don't have anything.
Nothing, thank you. Councillor Durkin?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to quickly acknowledge the work done by the Canowindra branch of the Country Education Fund. They've, in the last week or so, week to 10 days, handed out over $18,000 in tertiary scholarships to local young people in post-high school studies throughout the Comboned Shire. And that's to assist them with their studies, whether it's accommodation, textbooks, tools, whatever it is. And I think it's just a great initiative that Peter Stacey and the crew have done over the last couple of years to get that money together and help the young people of our community to ensure their studies can keep going. So great work to them.
Yeah, thank you for that, most certainly. Nothing further from anybody? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour, just raise your computer hand. Beautiful, thank you. Unanimous, none against, so that is carried. Now, also we have item 5 is the mayoral minute in regards to COVID-19 financial support. Could I have a mover of that, please? Moved by Councillor Travers, seconded by Councillor Walker. Does anybody wish to speak against that at all? Nobody wishes to speak against that. Councillor Mullins, you got your hand up. You wish to speak against that? No? No, right. Well, if nobody wishes to speak against that, I'll put that. All those in favour? Raise of your hand, computer hand, thank you. That's unanimous, so that's carried. Item 6 is the Committee of the Whole. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Durkin.
Councillor, Mr Mayor, I didn't ask for people to speak for that item 5 before, but it doesn't matter much, but there's, you've got to slow it down a bit.
No, that's all right. I just went through that procedure before, so if anybody wishes to speak against that, I'll end up just putting...
No, I'm not speaking against it, I want to speak for it.
Well...
And also ask a couple of questions.
Well, it's gone through now, so we really can't
Yeah, well,
backtrack
I've
on
noticed,
it.
yeah, it's okay.
Item 6, Committee of the Whole. Let's mover of that, please. Councillor Jones is a mover, seconded by Councillor Durkin. So we have anything for the Committee of the Whole?
Yes, please, Mr Mayor. I'd like to put items 13 and item 14 into Committee of the Whole, please.
Items 13 and 14, thank you. Anything else for Committee of the Whole? Councillor Davison, you nodding there? Or, no? Nobody else with anything? Councillor Oldham, you wish anything in the committee?
Item
Yep.
Councillor Jones has already called it.
Item 13, you wished in there too, yep, thank you.
Item,
Councillor Davison?
probably item 22 regarding the Lachlan Regional Transport Committee.
Yep, item 22, thank you. Nothing further? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that's carried. Item 7 is grouping of reports, and just that we're pulling item 11 off that grouping, so it'll be from 8 to 10. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Weaver, mover, seconded by Councillor Nash. Does anybody wish to speak against that? Groupings? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? All right, we've got 9 for and 2 against there, have we? No? Councillor Davison, you for that or against? No, thank you. That's unanimous, so that's carried. We move to item 11. Is it in the noting or is it in confidential? Councillor Davison, you called in the Committee of the Whole, item 22, the Lachlan Regional Transport. That's in the papers for noting in item 5. Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, that's correct. My mistake. I got my numbers mixed up between notation and...
So you just, when we get to that for noting, you wish to discuss that?
I just have a couple of comments to make on it, that's all, Mr Mayor.
Yep, no problem. When we get to that section, we'll bring that out.
Okay.
All right, item 11 is request for donations equivalent to fees paid for DA 2020/0109. Could I have a mover of that, please? Moved by Councillor Walker. Seconded by Councillor Weaver. Does anybody wish to speak against that? Nobody wish to speak against that? All right. If nobody wishes to speak against that, I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that's carried. Item 12 is the draft rates and charges hardship assistance policy for ratepayers suffering from the effects of natural disasters. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody wish to speak against that at all?
I'd like to make a comment at some stage.
Yeah, hang on a sec. Nobody wish to speak against? All right. Councillor Nash, do you wish to speak for it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I just think it's really good. I was quite happy to see that on there because at this time there is lots of people that are having a lot of problems. So thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you. All right, nobody wish to speak against, but I'll take your comment now. Councillor Newsom.
I'd just like to comment that I think this came up probably 18 months ago in relation to people who were suffering from the drought, and I don't recall at that stage that we agreed that this would be put in place then. So my question is really to do with, is it going to be retrospective and cover those people who have been affected by the drought as well as by COVID-19?
General Manager.
I could just say that it's accumulated debt as well. So if there are people out there with outstanding rates which have been accumulating interest, that can be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. So if they are at the moment in that situation, they can use this policy can be utilised to assess their claim. And if we feel it doesn't fall within the realms of the policy, we can also always bring it to council. But yeah, so obviously rate debt can quite often be a cumulative situation that's taken place over a financial year or even carried over into a number of years. So if there are people who from 18 months ago have started being behind on their rates, this policy is now in place for them to write to council and explain their situation, and we can assess that on a case-by-case basis.
Right, okay, thank you. So it will be done case by case. It's not just a blanket to anybody who is suffering hardship.
Yeah, that's correct. It's a case-by-case. They still have to write to council and discuss with us the situation, and then obviously we assess that and within the realms of the policy.
Thank you.
All right, nothing further on that item. I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that is carried. Item 13 was in Committee of the Whole, as was 14. Item 15 is the draft sponsorship policy. Could I have a mover on that, please? Moved by Councillor Newsom, seconded by Councillor Trevors. Does anybody wish to speak against that at all? No? Well, there's nobody wishing to speak against it. I'll put that. All those in favour? Item 16 is the Cabonne Community Centre design. Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Mullins. You've identified a typo. I haven't got it, mate. I haven't got the full thing in front of me here. So you've identified a typo in the first paragraph of the design charrette process in November. It says it should be 2019, it actually reached 2020. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Right, so that'll be adjusted. Thank you for that. All right, now does anybody wish to speak against that at all? No speakers against. If nobody wishes to speak against that, we'll put that. Hang on a minute, Councillor Davison, you...
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I think that for the record, we should be saying it's a very good plan at this stage, and we're all looking forward to getting this building up and going as soon as possible.
Yep, agree totally. Thank you for that. All right. Nothing further on that item. I'll put that. All those in favour? We have all bar one in favour. Councillor Newsom, are you in favour? Yep, thank you. So with that, that's unanimous, so that's carried. Item 17 is the Molong Bore Water Supply Project procurement. Could I have a mover of that, please? Moved by Councillor Trevors, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody wish to speak against that at all? Nobody wish to speak against that. Councillor Jones, you wish to speak to that? No, you've got your hand down. That's all right. All right, nobody wishes to speak against that, which it's a very good project as well. So we need to get that fast-tracked urgently. So very good. I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that is carried. Thank you. Item 18 is the Molong Town Centre Urban Design Project. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor... Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Mullins. Does anybody wish to speak against that at all? Nobody wish to speak against that? No comment. I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that is carried.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I did have a comment, and I know it's too late, but my earlier question was to do with that, and I'll bring it up later, and that is what we call public exhibition, and what does that mean? But I'll deal with it later on. Thank you.
All right, we're not, just for your benefit, if you want to pass a comment, so just in this procedure, this is all new. Hang on,
No,
I'll just explain the procedures so it's easier for me to follow and so everybody can follow. So when I call the item, I'll ask for a mover and a seconder, which comes up as a hand up there. Once we've got that, turn your hands off, and I will ask, does anybody wish to speak against it? All right? So, but if you don't wish to speak against it, but you want to pass a comment, as Cheryl did before, she wanted to place a comment, I will take the mover's comment first as the mover, and if there's nobody against, I'll then take the comment. Just in this procedure, with this hands up in business, that's how we have to do it. So if I see your hand up there, sorry, we just did a check of some live streaming to make sure everything was going all right. So we are still going all right. Item 22, business paper items for noting. Could I have a mover of that, please? Moved by Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Nash. Now, Councillor Davison, in that you wanted item number 5 in the noting in the Committee of the Whole. Thank you. We'll discuss that in there if you like. Anything else for noting there? Anybody? No? All good? I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that is carried. Thank you, everybody. Item 23 is matters of urgency. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Newsom. Seconded by Councillor Durkin. Do we have anything of a urgency, really urgent? Nothing at all? No. Nothing at all for urgency? No. All right, thank you, everybody. I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that is carried. Thank you. Item 24 is Committee of the Whole section of the meeting. Can I just have a mover of that first, please? Moved by Councillor Travers. And then seconded by Councillor Durkin. So all in favour that we move into Committee of the Whole? We've got 2 more to come, 3 more. Still all in favour of that, moving to Committee of the Whole? 1 more, done. That's unanimous, so that's carried. So we go to now item number 13, which was put in there by Councillor Jones. So Councillor Jones, do you wish to speak to item 13?
Mr. Mayor, I just felt that being such a significant item on the budget paper, it was worth a bit of a discussion, and I'm sure some councillors have questions and comments, so I thought it was important to put this into Committee of the Whole.
Thank you very much. Councillor Newsom, you have a question or comment?
No, sorry, no. I
That's
shouldn't
all
have
right.
Sorry, that
Hand
was
down.
before.
That's fine, thank you. Councillor Davison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a few questions about the. We're talking about the budget review here. Is that correct? The quarterly budget review at this stage?
No, the IPNR item 13, the budget itself.
Budget itself. Okay. There were a few questions. I have had a couple of discussions with Brad about a few items that I was a bit unsure of, but we've sorted out most of those. There's a couple of things that I would like to have since had time to think about. One of them being on page 37 of the budget, the public halls. Do the expenses that we have of 76,000 include the grants for the hall improvements? Perhaps the General Manager might be able to answer that one for me. Because we have some money already in our that we've got for some grants to do a number of things. And I was wondering whether this was additional or this was part of it.
Yeah, the General Manager.
So the expenses are obviously, are you talking about the expenses, Councillor, on page 37?
Yes, I am, yes. I'm talking about the expenses and if those expenses that we have, $76,000 that we have in that line item for public halls, whether that $76,000 is part of that, of the grants money or not, or if the grants money is separate.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's expenditure. So we've got some grant funding coming through the drought communities, the federal money, and also we're hopeful of some further funding in the future. But that's my understanding. That comes under capital, our capital projects, what we're doing in the halls under those sorts of works. So that expenditure would be general operational expenditure.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Another item that, which just a general comment or a general question, I'm not quite sure. I think it was on page 25 of the budget, the Canowindra Retirement Village design and investigation for 115,000 K. We haven't done a design yet, have we? I don't believe on that. And this is money that would be expended for the design. Is this precluding or looking forward after we've gone through whether we're going to look at the way this might be built?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so that money is there for a concept design. Once we do the relevant community consultation, particularly with the Canowindra Community Group, we also can use that money to investigate the governance angles of council doing the project, or if the project was undertaken by developers, or indeed through the PPP that was originally put in place. So that funding there is, but there is enough there if council wishes to proceed with a concept design to possibly look at progressing the project, that we can get it to that level and have an idea of what we're looking at.
Thank you. That's fair enough. That's good. One last one, if I may, Mr. Mayor. I noticed that there's a couple of line items in there for wages, for economic development wages, and also wages for the communication development officer. In the past, we've had one person doing that job, and I noticed that there's two line items in there for different amounts of wages and costs. I'm just wondering whether that's still the case of having one position or two.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is in item, I think it's in communications and marketing on page 51.
Yep.
There is wages there for a new position, which includes on costs, etc. So that position is currently just closed, actually, councillor. So that hopefully we'll have someone appointed in that role in the very near future.
Thank you very much.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you. I'm finished.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Oldham.
Yes, in the budget I noted, and I spoke to the General Manager this morning, that the Gabon Acquisitive Art Prize funding wasn't listed, and I understand that that is being rectified, that it gets put back in the budget.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, there is actually, depends which way you look at it, it was sadly a rollover from this year, obviously, because it hit right at COVID-19 time when the event was going to be put in place. So we have some money from this year's budget, which we'd be rolling over to next year, and we can do that also by, I think that's around $10,000, and we can put a submission on top. So the funding will be put into the final draft as a submission at the same amount, about 23,000, I think it was.
Yes, it was. Thank you very much. Just one other item on page 27, which was the Molong Rotary Park toilets, and there's a pre-planning development scope listed there for 11,500. I was just wondering about those toilets in particular, because they are on a septic system, and I believe that that's been on the nose a bit in recent times, and I'm also wondering about a septic system where that is placed. Obviously, I would assume that we didn't have sewer there when it was built, but it is in a floodplain. It is right on the creek. I was wondering what we might be doing with the $11,500 over there.
Through Mr. Mayor, I'll take that on notice unless the acting director of engineering has some knowledge on that particular item.
Could I just support Councillor Oldham on that? And perhaps your review should review whether the toilet should be there at all. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the intent of the funds that are in the budget is to undertake a design process. If council wishes to extend the scope of that to include a business case or options analysis, we can fit that within the scope reasonably.
Does that answer your question? Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
It would be an excellent idea. There is there's a strong feeling that those toilets are detracting from the facility of the town and its business and the prospect of the railway station opening. So include their include their removal in your options down the track when the railway station is active.
Thank you. Councillor Oldham, is that it?
Yes. I just wanted to bring that to attention because I'm worried about the siting of them being the septic, and
Yep.
wanted to get that looked at if we could.
No, thank you. Councillor Batten.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Actually, I wanted to speak in favour of the budget as presented, and what I wanted to do is commend the efforts of yourself, the General Manager, and staff in particular, our Acting Director of Engineering Technical Services and our grant sites in the success we've had in accessing external funds. Obviously the water supply funding for Molan's an outstanding one. The announcement of the funding that we had earlier in the week for Yeovil, Cadell, Molan, the lights, etc. Certainly outstanding efforts, and I think what that reflects is we probably all agree that this funding may well actually dry up in the future. But Cabon, because we leveraged off some of our reserves, but we still retained some healthy reserves, we are going to be in a reasonably good financial position actually to probably access some of those reserves in the event that some of those funds do dry up in the future. So I'd just like to record a congratulations to the leadership team, yourself as the General Manager, and the two staff in particular that I mentioned.
Thanks, Councillor Batten. Totally agree with the work the staff have done, Naomi in particular, and she's up the back, I think. There she is, she's up the back. So she's heard your comments, so thank you. Let's also to our finance manager, Veronica, for all her work that she's done too. You know, she's doing a tremendous job there with our finance. So thank you to Veronica.
Could I just hold out an apology to Veronica for not knowing who she was when she first appeared on the screen?
She's got your number, Councillor Mullins, anyway. All right. Councillor Jones.
Mr Mayor, thank you. I too would like to echo Councillor Batten's thoughts and opinion. I noted in a media release from the Minister for Local Government, Shelley Hancock, on Friday the 17th of October that the New South Wales Government was allowing councils to extend the adoption of their operational plans and budget by a month. But I think as a council we all know and we feel that we don't need that extra month to adopt these documents because this is a budget that we've been working on for the last 2.5 years. It's a budget that we can all be proud of, and it shows that we're a council that is in touch with its communities and meeting their expectations. A few years ago, Mr Mayor, the trend in phasing local government was fit for the future, and the budget being adopted by council today should provide confidence that to our staff and communities that council has and will maintain its level of service to the community, and our staff should be thankful for their ongoing work. We are still in an unprecedented drought, and now on top of that, a global pandemic. But this budget will provide important economic stimulus for our communities and our business. Again, with this budget and operational plan, focuses on road building and maintenance, but it also has right throughout every community those key projects that we've all been working on. It also shows the work we've done in lobbying state and federal governments for grant funding and the success we've had. I too, like Councillor Batten, in conclusion, would like to acknowledge Council's finance staff, engineering staff for putting the budget and plan together, and look forward to hearing feedback from our ratepayers.
Thank you.
Well said, Councillor Jones.
Thanks, Councillor Weaver. Any other comments or discussion on item 13? Nothing? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that's carried. Thank you. Item 14 was the quarterly budget review, and Councillor Jones, do you wish to speak to that? No. All right, any discussion? We have Councillor Mullins. You wish to speak to that, Councillor Mullins?
No, I didn't raise that. Not for me.
No, you got your hand up, that's all. There you have it. Councillor Davison.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. A couple of questions, if I may, please, of the General Manager or the Finance Director, one or the other. On the first page of the quarterly review, there's a couple of major items there towards the bottom there, the operating grants and contributions, and the next line, the capital grants and contribs. Both have got a lot of money in them, $25 million in them, a fair bit of money. Both of them seem to me to be their actual year-to-date figures and their projected year-to-date figures seem to be at odds with the date that we're at. The first item is the operating grants and contributions. The projected end of year result is $12.5 million, and we've currently only got 6.8. The capital grants and contribs is 12.6, and we've only got 3.1 in. And I'm wondering whether we can realistically say that we're going to get that money, which is a fair bit of money to come in yet. 9 out of 25. We've only got 9 so far in the year to date, and we're expecting 25 in both those ones. It's a fair bit of money to come in the next couple of months or 3 months. So I'm just wondering if that's feasible and is doable.
General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so they are still our projections with both those. So some of these grants obviously come in on deeds and they hit our books once we've completed the works. And some are from the operating grants as the FAGs, etc. I think, if I'm correct there. The Finance Manager may be able to comment a bit more on the sources of the operating grants and contributions, but there's still a quarter to go, and a lot of the work the engineers do in the latter half of the year with their roads, construction programs, etc., come home at this time of year as well. But either I'll leave it to the Director to comment on that, and also the Finance Manager if she wants to comment on the operating grants and contributions.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I'll talk to the capital. This is taken to March, and there are still a number of projects that still have to have claims put in, so they are going to be completed, or they have been completed and claims haven't been made. The other item I will raise is there is a number of projects which are underway in some way, shape or form, but they will carry on to the next year. So they're St Germain's Bridge, Bobakara Bridge, and the Restart New South Wales pipeline works are the significant items in that. So they are underway, but they will, given their size, they will be going into the next financial year also.
That's fair enough. Thanks, Director. I've got another question here somewhere. Capital expenditure, the pipeline project. There's a budget in there of 2.75 and changes of 1.4 and 1.3, which brings it up a bit. There's a bit of a surplus there on those figures, about $100,000. I'm just wondering what we do with that surplus money. Have we got to return it, or can we send it on some other water-aligned project.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll let the acting director engineers. He's more across that than I am, but rest assured, if we don't spend it, it does have to go back to the source funder. But I'll let Matt answer that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'll have to talk to the surplus. I'll take that on notice, and I will get back to you, to councillors on that one. But I can guarantee you we're going to spend every single cent of that. It's we're trying to squeeze a lot of work into the remaining funds. So yes, we will spend all of it, but I will follow up with regards to the surplus funds.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Matthew. There was one other one that I just got to try to work out here. Have we got any? I can't find a line item in here, and I wouldn't expect to find one yet. But are we getting any idea about what our projected costs may be for COVID-19 to us directly? I know that we've got various grants and bits and pieces coming in, but if it's going to be a major item, it's possibly should have some thoughts in there as to how much budget we need to put aside for anything like that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have given some thought to this, but at this stage, there is a funding shortfall, we believe, in family daycare, which we will be realising over the next 3 months, and that's estimated to be approximately 48,000. There's been a number of announcements by the state government. As early as yesterday, the Office of Local Government has some packages being put together regards to salaries and wages, which we'd have to do some an analysis on to see whether we're subject to those. But the only real, I suppose, tangible cost at this point is those wages. The engineers and all areas of council we're an essential service. We haven't had to really diminish our services too much, and correspondingly our forecast income hasn't changed a lot at this stage except for that one area. So we're watching it very closely, and obviously that's why we have quarterly budget reviews. So if something was to arise, a number of the issues like personal protection, we are tracking that. We've got for want of a better term, a COVID task force, but a lot of that is stuff we're covering under general work health and safety measures, PPE, all that sort of equipment, hand sanitizer and things like that. So whilst aware that there is likely to be some impost on council, at this point in time, it's very difficult to put a number on it. So therefore, we've got a budget contingency, and we'd come back to council if we were identifying a certain cost centre. But we are starting to calculate some of the costs. But I think the lag costs is where we're going to have to be very careful, and that could happen even not in this budget, but the next one, where we do realise a lot of costs that we will be able to attribute back to this major event. But at this stage, but we'll be obviously keeping council advised, and if something emerges that we need to fund, we'd be coming back to you pretty quickly.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much, Mr. General Manager. I'm finished.
Thank you. Councillor Weaver, you had your hand up before, but you might have got tired and put it down, did you?
I just wanted to congratulate the staff and the General Manager on the budget summary. I didn't have a chance to read it at the last meeting that we had, and I've gone through it, and it's very easy to read and very easy to follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just a quick one, just reconfirming something back. Following Australia Day, Councillor Nash and Councillor Trevors have raised with me the air conditioning at the Cordon store, and following a meeting with them, it was to be included in this quarterly budget review. I know it is on page 6, just confirming that that item on page 6 is for the air conditioning, reallocation of air conditioning for Cordon store at Kidal.
Veronica was nodding her head. I think she's saying yes.
Perfect, thank you.
I think, yeah, she is. She's nodding. Anything further? Any more discussion on item 14? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that's carried. Thank you, everybody. All right, now in the noting, Councillor Davison called out item 5 in the noting, which was the water, was it? I'll find it here in a second, hang on.
Lachlan Valley Rail, Mr Mayor.
Lachlan Valley Rail, all right. Yeah, okay, which is, item 5, Lachlan Regional Transport Committee. So, Councillor Davison.
Just a comment, Mr Mayor, regarding that the letter from the Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack. There's very little mention of the Parkes to Orange rail connection there. There's lots of mentions of other places close to the sea, and I just wonder, once again, whether our emphasis should be drawn, or the emphasis should be drawn a bit, that there are people living west of off the seaboard, and most of the expenditure being done by governments in the federal sphere has been concentrated down the coastal belt. Sure, there's 75% or 80% of the people live there, but there is a lot of people out here too who don't get much. And the railway mentioned the transport letter that we received really had very little mention of our concerns out here. And I'd just like to make mention of that, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. I guess all I can suggest to you is that, and it is a very broad sentence, but on paragraph 3 of the letter it says Sydney to Newcastle, Sydney to Wollongong and Sydney to Parkes. So whether that covers going through the Orange route or via the 2 coastal routes, who knows? So, but it probably needs clarification, yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. Anything further on that?
Yes, just it's worthwhile following up, but and it may not have made it into that letter, but there is an intention to bring a train to Orange and split it in 2 and send one to Parkes and one to Dubbo and meet up again in Orange and back to Sydney, with a stop at the Mullum railway station, which would be reopened, which is why I mentioned before, leave the option of having your public toilets at the railway station and not down at Rotary Park, because that train will be built, I'm told, in about 22, 23. So, if your long-term planning is going on about toilets down there, this could be a better option. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion on that at all? No? All right. Well, I'll put that. All those in favour? That's unanimous, so that's carried. Thank you. And move to our closed meeting. So we're just going to stop the streaming. Move that we adopt all matters discussed in our closed business meeting. So that was moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Jones. All those in favour? Two to go. Beautiful. That's all in favour of that, so that's unanimous, so that's carried. Thank you, councillors and staff, for your time today in our meeting. I'll now close the meeting. Thank you.